Yo, how's it going everyone? It's me, the Right Hand Lad, and today I'm going to be covering Kanzaki. Kanzaki is a magician and a saint, a person born with a body similar to the Son of God, of which there are only 20 in the world. She raises her blade for the sole purpose of protecting others, attempting to create a world where no one has to suffer. Kanzaki is skilled in magic and swordsmanship. She has been described as having the strength to rival a nuclear bomb and being able to move at the speed of sound. In terms of power, Kanzaki is a casual mountain buster, as she was able to slice through the Archangel Gabriel's wings, which were stated to destroy mountains. The dozens of frozen wings stretched their blades towards the heavens. At the end, a single drop of water appeared over the power of God's head. It drew a small circle and stabilized a halo floating in the air. Each and every one of those drops looked like the ocean's surface in the dead of night, a deathly blue, soiled with black. Those wings which had talisman going through them, from the end of the feathers to the beginnings without a single gap, were each a single divine judgment attack that could blow away entire mountains, rip into the lands, and create valleys. Normally Kanzaki had enough power that her enemies would fear her on the battlefield and open a way for her, but even she found her body tingling with nervousness. A normal person might have forgotten to breathe just from the pure malice radiating in this place. The power of God didn't respond. This time it crossed two of its water wings, on the left and the right, like scissors. The two wings delivered a shriek as they assailed her. With one attack from Kanzaki, who spun her body like a tornado, they were cleaved at the same time and destroyed. Its bangs waved in the night. The eyes behind him rotated as if to confirm a single fact. Not one nor two of them had been sliced. In all, it was 4. That wasn't a coincidence, but rather a necessity, and one pregnant with contradiction. A discipline of Christianity shouldn't be able to go against an angel. Some people like to downplay this feat by saying it's only comparable to slicing a nuclear bomb in half, but these wings were stated to vaporize mountains on contact, so she is definitely a mountain buster. This isn't an outlier either, as Kanzaki states an opponent who can destroy a mountain range is an opponent able to fight on par with a saint. If necessarious information was correct, the girl was putting together a massively destructive spiritual weapon, and it was highly possible that weapon was completely under her control. If that was true, the girl before her eyes would have the power greatly exceeding the individual level. She'd have the power to blow away a mountain range and turn it into a giant crater with a single command. No, it would actually be odd if she didn't have the power on that level. If she did not, a saint like Kanzaki would never have been dispatched. In fact, Kanzaki's strength is so ridiculous, she was able to fight 3 saints level beings at once. Kanzaki Kaori was holding off Aqua and Coresia. Even though Kanzaki was supposedly working with him for a moment, he had this frightening vision of 2 horns growing from her head and phosphorusine leaking from her mouth. After being used the way she had, it was only natural for her to be angry. While continuing to hold off the British monsters 1 against 3, Kanzaki spat blood to the snow and listened to Queen Regnan Ilzard's voice. Second Princess Coresia was a step away from defeating the massacred saint, and clicked her tongue at the voice. Tears had begun to fill Knightley's eyes as he found himself unable to keep up with the 2 women, whose faces contained ghastly expressions, but he finally breathed a sigh of relief. William Orell's expression did not budge. As a magician, she's not just limited to attacking with her sword, she's also capable of attacking people with her wires. These wires were so strong, she could counter peak Aqua's attacks. Behind Kanzaki flowed a dark river. By the time she noticed the black surface had shaken, a water pillar had already risen. Close to 20 meters tall, it was a giant hammer with joints. The terrible weapon grazed the underground city ceiling, closing down Kanzaki's head. If she had her hands full merely with Aqua's other attacks, she wouldn't be able to deal with this one, and she'd die. However, a splitting sound rang out as the deathmatch unfolded, and something near Kanzaki gave off a glare. The moment he saw it, 7 slashing attacks had brutally sliced up the water hammer approaching from behind, sending it back into the river. It had been a Nasen, using her wires. I'm surprised you would think this is my full strength. The instant her lips moved, the 7 slashing attacks all converged on Aqua from various directions, as though complementing the track of her katana. An explosive noise through the Academy City, an explosion ripped through the Academy City night. It wasn't from flames, it was a shockwave from a massive eruption of water. Aqua had used his magic to control the vast doors of river water, creating a giant hammer and almost scraped against the underground city ceiling. Kanzaki's wires cut through it brutally. Tons of water in the shape of construction arms were instantly vaporized, sending steam everywhere, but Aqua controlled the steam in turn, converting it into a glittering cloud of diamond dust. He had more than just hammer at his beck and call. The entire 4th stratum, almost 2 kilometers across, was already in his grasp, and with her wires she was briefly able to trap another saint. There were 7 wires, Nansen. In the instant Bunhill had been distracted, the multiple wires had accurately spread around her. These were not pulleys or anything set up to string up to wires. It was the same as a rhythm in arithmetic gymnastics. By using the power of one's wrist to give a slight shaking vibration to the wires, they were made to be still, seemingly stationary in one place. She's sealing my escape? Bunhill was only given the instant to think that. Immediately afterwards, the 7 wires assaulted her from all directions. like a three-dimensional guillotine, but not gave up on trying to forcibly push the deadly grid of blades with the spear. She twisted her body through the air and spun around a few times, and slipped through the slight spaces between the wires, into it like mud. She also has magic strong enough to draw blood from Aqua. The wire streaking through the air had created a three-dimensional magic circle. By the time Aqua realized this, the flames of explosions had already engulfed his stalwart body. A second blast followed, then a third, with the 7 wires slicing through the blast. They were finally followed up by a single slash with a katana, bathed in the moon. He was on concrete ground about 10 meters away, having jumped back. A single cut appeared on his cheek, a slight graze, probably caused by a wire, but any wound was more than anyone had reached before now. As a drop of red blood trickled down his cheek, Aqua spoke quietly. You're one of their massacre. What you're doing is fundamentally the same as them. Kanzaki's base durability should be equivalent to her attack. This is backed up by her being able to block Aqua's physical attacks. The giant mace came down on her from directly overhead. Kanzaki positioned her katana horizontally to stop it. When they clashed, the impact sent an enormous shock, rattling through her katana to her arms, her torso, and down to her feet all at once, causing her boot soles to dig inches into the ground. It was hard tile underfoot, but she sunk into it like mud. The attack hadn't struck her head, but she felt herself wither, as though she had shaken her brain. But she endured it, and a moment from after Aqua's mighty attack, with all those weight behind it, there was an opening. With magic, she is stronger. She was able to attack full power Aqua off the back dive bomb attack. A giant line descent, a giant mace swinging down at her. What unleashed from there was not a slash, nor a stab, nor firing, nor explosion, nor burst, nor severing, nor crushing. It was simple pressure. The overwhelming destructive force pushing down past even a small planetary collision. All sound vanished from the world then. Even the sound of the world breaking was gone. In a circle 100 meters around Aqua, the ground of Academy City District 22's 4th Stratum found itself brutally erased by its massacring attack. The descent's impact didn't even let a crater form, it simply smashed the steel and concrete ground to bits, transforming it into a giant hole. It didn't matter if the ground had a shelter level toughness or anything else. The destroyed land across the 100-meter circle merely rained down into the 5th Stratum below. Explosions, quakes, and so much dust. The sequence of a smashing and crashing echoed on and on. Water poured down like a waterfall. The rivers and water power generated pipes had been severed. Amid it all lay Kanzaki Hiyori. She had stopped the attack itself with her katana, but the ground beneath her feet hadn't been able to withstand it. The immense pressure had cast her down, along with the mountains of rubble, from a height of 20 meters. Now she lay face up in a chunk of concrete. Her body was in tatters. Even though Aqua's attack hadn't landed a direct hit, its pressure went through her weapon to damage her. She'd been caught between his extra-large mace and the man-made ground, and now a dark red liquid dripped from every part of her body, from her arms, from her legs, and her torso. This is meant to be one of Aqua's trump cards, and she still got up and was able to continue fighting. Now speed. Despite being constantly referred to as only moving at the speed of sound, Kanzaki has shown feats higher than this, such as slicing through lightning. The magician was making preparation for a second wave. The attack itself most relies on the laws of physics. It is simpler than a curse with no form, but this aim may be to weaken my legs to continue to hit me with it. She heard the explosive sound of a high voltage current. In the next instant, Kanzaki drew her katana and stabbed the tip forcefully into the stone floor as if she had timed it. She cut into the stone like it was made of tofu, and then felt a different type of resistance. In other words, she felt herself slicing through a high voltage current and neutralizing it. There are legends of swords slicing through lightning in Japan. In a country with such harsh changes in weather, you cannot name yourself a magician if you do not have an understanding of how to deal with the thunder god. That was what magic was. It exceeded the laws of physics. It brought one to an absurd battlefield. If she messed up the timing of her attack, she would receive the attack head on, so she could not let her guard down. But she could deal with spells at that level. She is also superior to expert magicians, but by that logic, her speed should be superior to mass murderers alone. And she should be comparable to Nerf's Aqua at the back, whose speed blitzes the night to her lightning timers. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.